Humanity withdraws from peace talks. The Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 1. The breaking point. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council towered like a cathedral of stars, its crystalline dome reflecting the light of 7 suns. Ambassador Ilara Voss stood alone on the central platform, a solitary human figure surrounded by 2,000 alien representatives. Their murmurs filled the chamber like the buzz of angry insects. High Counselor Draz, a towering blue-skinned Arcturian, raised his ceremonial staff. Silence fell. The council has deliberated for 14 cycles, Draz announced, voice amplified through the chamber. We have reached consensus on humanity's petition for equal representation. Ilara's face remained impassive, though her pulse quickened. 6 years of negotiations had led to this moment. Humanity has demonstrated remarkable progress for such a young species. Draz continued. However, your technological advancement has been concerning. Your species' rapid militarization appears designed to circumvent council oversight. Those were defensive measures only, Ilara countered. We've provided full documentation. Documentation your translation matrices could easily have falsified, interrupted Vex Morden, the Centauri delegate. His facial tentacles twisted in apparent disgust. The council requires proof, not promises. We've complied with every request, Ilara said, her voice steady. For 6 years we've opened our borders, shared our resources, submitted to inspections. What more could... The council requires genetic submissions, announced Draz. All human colonies will provide DNA repositories for council safekeeping and study. A shocked murmur rippled through the chamber. That wasn't part of our agreement, Ilara said. Earth sovereignty is non-negotiable. This is not a negotiation, Ambassador, said Morden, leaning forward. It is a requirement. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Ilara activated her wrist communicator. Admiral Reyes, initiate protocol exodus. Immediate effect. The alien delegates shifted uneasily. Draz's expression darkened. Ambassador Voss, reconsider your position. The consequences are yours to bear, High Counselor. Ilara's voice was steel. For centuries, your council has manipulated emerging civilizations. You've harvested resources from developing worlds while offering trinkets in return. You believed humans would be grateful for scraps from your table. Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered. The holographic displays showing Earth's fleet positions went dark. What is happening? Demanded Draz. Humanity is withdrawing from these talks, Ilara said, stepping backward, and not just from this chamber. From council space entirely. Outside, through the crystal dome, dozens of human vessels simultaneously engaged their drives, creating a blinding flash that momentarily illuminated the chamber. When the light faded, the ships were gone. You cannot simply leave, sputtered Morden. The treaties made under false pretenses are void, Ilara replied. A shimmer began to form around her. You never intended to treat us as equals. We've known that for some time. We just needed you to confirm it. As she began to dematerialize, Ilara delivered her final message. You'll find that human territory is now closed to all council vessels. Don't test our resolve on this matter. With a flash of light, she vanished, leaving behind a chamber of stunned silence and the first inkling of fear. 3 hours later, in the council's emergency session chamber, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Representatives from the 12 most powerful species sat around a gleaming obsidian table, their voices raised in argument. Impossible, shouted Morden, pounding the table with a tentacled fist. No species possesses technology capable of instantaneous mass transportation across such distances. Yet they have done it, said Krell, the reptilian head of Council Intelligence. Initial reports confirm that all human outposts, colonies, and trade stations have gone dark simultaneously. Their ships have vanished from our tracking systems. High Counselor Draz stood at the head of the table, his usual commanding presence diminished by uncertainty. What of Earth itself? Krell's scaled skin rippled in what passed for a grimace. We sent probes immediately. They encountered an energy barrier of unknown composition surrounding the entire Sol system. We lost contact when they attempted to penetrate it. Silence fell over the assembly as the implications sank in. They've been hiding their true capabilities, Draz finally said. Playing us for fools. In the corner of the room, Thala, the ancient Moran observer, spoke for the first time. Her translucent body glowed faintly in the dimmed light. Perhaps it is we who have been foolish, High Counselor. Humanity warned us repeatedly that they valued their autonomy above all else. They're barely 2 centuries into spaceflight, protested Morden. A primitive species by any measure. Thala's glow pulsed with what might have been amusement, and yet they have vanished from under our noses, taking with them technologies we apparently never detected. On the main view screen, a map of Council space displayed in 3 dimensions. Red dots representing human settlements were blinking out one by one, as confirmation of their disappearance came in. The economic impact will be severe, warned Lorik, the Council's economic minister. Human trade routes have become integral to our supply chains. Several outer systems rely entirely on human agricultural exports. Draz's expression darkened further. They planned this, deliberately made themselves essential while hiding their true agenda. Aboard the human flagship Defiant, Admiral Talia Reyes watched Earth's solar system appear on the view screen as the ship emerged from its jump. The blue-green jewel of Earth sat at the center, now surrounded by a shimmering barrier that distorted the light of the sun. Exodus protocol completed, Admiral, reported her tactical officer. All colonial outposts have successfully relocated. The barrier is holding steady at 99.7% efficiency. Talia nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the stars. And the Council's response? Exactly as predicted. They've dispatched probes and are now scrambling a monitoring fleet. Their communications channels are in chaos. And our people? All accounted for. The transition was smoother than our simulations projected. Talia allowed herself a small smile. 6 years of preparation. It's hard to believe we actually pulled it off. Her communications officer turned from her console. Admiral, I have President Alvarez for you. The view screen shifted to show the President of the United Earth Federation, his dark hair streaked with silver, his expression serious but satisfied. Congratulations, Admiral Reyes. Phase 1 is complete. Talia inclined her head. Thank you, Mr. President. Though I suspect the hard part is just beginning. Indeed. The Council will not take this lying down. Once they recover from the shock, they'll try to force their way in. Let them try, Talia said with quiet confidence. The barrier will hold, and if it doesn't, Talia's expression hardened. Then they'll discover what else we've been hiding. Back in the Council chambers, Draz issued orders to a team of analysts. I want everything we have on human technology. Every scrap of data, every trade manifest, every intelligence report. There must have been signs we missed. A junior analyst, a spindly Vornan with multiple eyes, approached nervously. High Counselor, we've found something in the archive. Records of human trade negotiations from their first contact 50 years ago. And they specifically requested information about a region of space beyond the Cygnus arm. A region we have designated as restricted, Draz froze. Show me. The display changed to show a star map with a section highlighted in pulsing red. Impossible, whispered Draz. They couldn't have known about that. There's more, continued the analyst. We've detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the barrier surrounding Earth. They match theoretical patterns for what? For the ancient defense grid, sir. The one mentioned only in our most classified records. Around the table, the Council members exchanged worried glances. If humans had somehow discovered the existence of the defense grid, technology lost for millennia, the implications were staggering. Draz turned to face the assembled Council, his voice low and serious. Send word to all member worlds. As of this moment, humanity is designated a Level 1 security risk. All information regarding Earth is now classified at the highest level. Thala, the Moran observer, drifted closer. You fear them now, don't you? These primitives you dismissed so easily. Draz didn't answer, but his silence was confirmation enough. The question you should be asking, Thala continued, is not how they did this, but why. What could drive them to such a dramatic action after years of apparent cooperation? In the silence that followed, the Council members faced an uncomfortable possibility. That in their arrogance, they had completely misunderstood humanity, and in doing so, may have created their most dangerous adversary. Outside the chamber windows, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the political drama unfolding beneath them. But somewhere among those stars, humanity watched and waited, their true intentions still unknown. Humanity withdraws from peace talks. The Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 2. The silent embargo, the emergency lights bathed the Galactic Council's commerce chamber in an eerie red glow. Economic Minister Lorik stood before a three-dimensional projection showing trade routes throughout Council space. Nearly half the lines had turned red, indicating disrupted supply chains. 3 months, Lorik said, his forearms gesturing at different sectors of the map. Just 3 months since the human withdrawal, and we stand on the brink of an economic collapse unseen in 8 centuries. Around him, representatives from 30 major trading worlds watched in growing horror as more lines on the display turned from green to amber, then to red. Impossible, muttered Gorn, the Tracian trade minister, his scaled face tightening in disbelief. Humans were newcomers to galactic commerce. How could their absence cause such disruption? Lorik's eye stalk swiveled toward the Tracian. Because we allowed it to happen. We saw only what we wished to see. A young, eager species willing to establish trade routes to regions other traders avoided. We never questioned why they succeeded where others failed. On the massive screen behind him, footage played showing abandoned human trading posts. Their once bustling corridors now empty. Equipment missing, storage facilities stripped bare. They didn't just withdraw politically, Lorik continued. They took everything. Manufacturing equipment, specialized tools, agricultural seed banks, even the soil samples from their hydroponic facilities. A representative from the mineral-rich Boros system rose to speak. The humans handled 70% of our deep core crystal distribution. Without their specialized containment fields, we cannot transport our primary export. My world faces bankruptcy within a standard quarter. One by one, other representatives shared similar stories. A pattern emerged. Humans had quietly positioned themselves at critical junctures in the galactic economy, often handling dangerous materials or difficult transport routes that other species avoided. It was deliberate, concluded Lorik grimly. For years, they integrated themselves into our most essential systems while maintaining the appearance of a junior partner, grateful for council guidance. At the back of the chamber, High Counselor Draz watched with growing concern. Beside him stood Zol, the director of council intelligence, his normally impassive features showing signs of stress. The situation is worse than they know, Zol whispered to Draz. We've identified 26 critical technologies where humans held patents or manufacturing monopolies. Replacement timelines range from 2 to 8 years. And the military implications? Draz asked quietly. Severe. The shield harmonizers used in our most advanced warships. Humans supplied 80% of the critical components. Without them, our fleet effectiveness drops by nearly half. Draz clenched his fist. How did we become so dependent without realizing it? They were careful. Created shell corporations worked through intermediaries. By the time products reached council markets, their human origins were obscured. At the front of the chamber, Lorik was finishing his presentation. The most critical shortage will hit within 60 days. Specialized medical synthetics used in trauma treatment across council space. Without human suppliers, our stockpiles will be exhausted, leaving millions without access to life-saving treatments. Panic rippled through the assembly. There is only one solution, Lorik concluded. We must re-establish contact with Earth, whatever the cost. In orbit around the gas giant Torvin 6, the Council diplomatic vessel Concordia prepared for its mission. Ambassador Vrock, the Council's most experienced negotiator, reviewed the latest intelligence reports with his team. The human barrier remains impenetrable, explained the science officer. A Kelvin with translucent skin through which complex thought patterns were visible as pulses of light. Conventional sensors cannot penetrate it, and all probes attempting entry have been destroyed or disabled. Vrock nodded, his elongated head bobbing slightly. In 3 centuries of diplomatic service, he had never faced a challenge like this one. We will approach openly, broadcasting our peaceful intentions on all frequencies, he decided. Humans value transparency. Perhaps they will respond to a direct appeal. His security chief looked skeptical. And if they don't? Vrock's expression remained serene. Then we attempt Plan Omega. The Council has authorized use of the phase shifter technology. Shocked silence greeted his words. The phase shifter was theoretical technology, never tested in field conditions. It would attempt to shift the Concordia partially out of normal space-time, potentially allowing it to slip through the human barrier. The risks, began the science officer. have been calculated and deemed acceptable, Vrock interrupted. The Council requires results. 20 hours later, the Concordia approached the shimmering barrier surrounding Earth's solar system. The massive diplomatic vessel, designed to impress with its elegant lines and gleaming hull, broadcast peace signals on all known frequencies. On the bridge, Ambassador Vrock watched the barrier grow larger on the view screen. It shimmered like oil on water, distorting the stars behind it. No response to our transmissions, reported the communications officer. Vrock sighed. Activate the phase shifter. The science officer's hands moved across her console. Phase shifter engaging. Transition in 5, 4, 3. A low hum built throughout the ship as the experimental device powered up. 2, 1. Transition. The view screen flared with brilliant light as the ship partially phased out of normal space. For a moment, the barrier seemed to waver before them. Forward 1/4 power, ordered Vrock. The ship edged toward the barrier. For a brief moment, it seemed they would pass through. Then warning alarms blared across the bridge. Energy surge from the barrier, shouted the science officer. It's adapting to our phase shift. Abort, pull back. Vrock commanded. Before they could react, tendrils of energy reached out from the barrier enveloping the Concordia. The phase shifter overloaded in a shower of sparks, and the ship snapped fully back into normal space, but now the energy tendrils held them fast. All systems failing, reported the tactical officer, as consoles went dark around the bridge. We're being pulled in. The Concordia, pride of the Council's diplomatic fleet, was drawn inexorably toward the barrier. When it made contact instead of destruction, the ship passed through as if the barrier had become permeable. On the bridge, emergency power provided minimal lighting as the crew watched in amazement. They were inside the human solar system, but their ship was completely disabled, drifting. Before them, a single human vessel appeared, smaller than the Concordia, but sleek and powerful. A communication channel opened automatically. A human female appeared on screen, her expression neutral. Ambassador Vrock, I am Captain Diana Monroe of the Earth Defense Force. Your attempt to breach our security is noted. Vrock stepped forward, attempting to salvage the situation. Captain, we come in peace, seeking dialogue. You came with experimental phase technology, attempting to penetrate our barrier without permission, she interrupted. This is not the action of a peaceful envoy. The Council faces critical shortages, of your own making. Her tone was matter-of-fact, not accusatory. Your ship will be towed to the edge of our system and returned to Council space with minimal power restored. You may transmit one message to the Council explaining your failure. Vrock drew himself up to his full height. Captain Monroe, perhaps you do not understand the gravity of the situation. Without certain human-produced goods, millions may suffer or die. For the first time, the human captain's expression showed emotion, a flash of what might have been sadness. We understand perfectly, Ambassador. That is precisely why we withdrew. The Council must learn that actions have consequences. The communication ended abruptly. 3 days later, in the Council's inner chamber, Vrock delivered his report to a stunned audience. They allowed us to return as a message, he concluded. They wanted us to see that they could have destroyed us, but chose not to. High Counselor Draz paced the chamber, agitation evident in his movements. And the barrier? What did your sensors reveal? Vrock hesitated. Very little. Most of our systems were disabled. However, our science officer noted something troubling before we lost sensors. The barrier appears to be growing stronger each day, as if it's learning. From the shadows at the edge of the chamber stepped General Krozak, the Council's military commander. His battle-scarred exoskeleton gleamed dully in the chamber's light. Negotiations have failed, he stated flatly. The time has come for more direct action. I have assembled a battle group of 40 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. To do what exactly? Asked Thala, the Moran observer who had remained silent until now. Ambassador Vrock's expedition proved the barrier adapts to our technology. A military approach seems doomed to similar failure. Krozak's mandibles clicked in irritation. The diplomatic ship carried minimal weaponry. A concentrated barrage from our fleet's main cannons will overwhelm any defense. And then, pressed Thala, if you somehow breach their barrier, what next? Will you bombard Earth into submission? Force them to trade with us at gunpoint? Humanity withdraws from peace talks. The Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 3. The Hidden Alliance. The Council observation post orbiting HFY 4 was quiet, its skeleton crew monitoring the primitive species below with bored indifference. The Phasians were a pre-spaceflight civilization, barely worth the resources to maintain the cloaked station. For centuries, they had been categorized as a Class C species, interesting enough to study, but lacking any significant technological potential. Lieutenant Jarrell yawned as he scanned the routine sensor logs. His assignment here was considered punishment duty, the result of offending a superior officer back on the Council capital world. Nothing ever happened on HFY War until today. "Sir?" called the sensor technician, his voice unusually alert. "I'm detecting an energy signature in the northern continent. Pattern matches nothing in our Phasian database." Jorel moved to the technician station, suddenly interested. "Show me." The screen displayed a heat map of the largest Phasian settlement. At its center, a pulsing energy source radiated in patterns that were definitely not primitive. "That's impossible," Jorel muttered. "The Phasians don't even have basic fusion technology." The signature appeared suddenly, reported the technician. One moment nothing, then an alarm cut through the air, its urgent wailing triggering emergency protocols throughout the station. "Multiple energy signatures now." The technician's voice rose in pitch. "They're appearing in every major settlement across the planet." On the main view screen, dots of bright energy bloomed across the planet's surface like flowers opening to the sun. "Increase magnification on the primary source," ordered Jorel, fighting to maintain his composure. The screen zoomed in on the first energy signature. As the image clarified, Jorel felt his blood freeze in his veins. In the center of the Phasian capital stood a structure that hadn't been there the day before. A sleek building of clearly advanced design. And above it, visible even through the planet's cloud cover, hung the unmistakable silhouette of a human ship. "Send emergency transmission to Council headquarters," Jorel ordered, his voice tight with urgency. "Priority Alpha. Message begins. Human activity confirmed on Phasian homeworld. Advanced technology detected. Request immediate." The lieutenant never finished his sentence. The observation post system suddenly went dead, cutting off power and life support simultaneously. As the backup systems failed to engage, the crew had just enough time to realize their fate before the cold vacuum of space claimed them. No one witnessed the human vessel that decloaked beside the station, attached a small device to its hull, and disappeared again into the darkness of space. In the Council's secure intelligence chamber, Director Zal delivered the most disturbing report of his long career to an audience of just 3. High Counselor Draz, General Krozak, and the ancient Miran observer, Thala. "The Phasian observation post went dark 6 days ago," Zal explained, his normally steady voice betraying a hint of stress. "When the relief ship arrived, they found the station cold and dead, its crew deceased." "Mechanical failure?" asked Krozak, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Sabotage," corrected Zal. "But that's not the concerning part. Before losing contact, they transmitted a partial message indicating human presence on the Phasian homeworld." Draz leaned forward, his blue skin darkening with concern. "Impossible. Phasian V has been under observation for 7 centuries. It's a primitive world of no strategic value." "Nevertheless," continued Zal, activating a holographic display, "our follow-up investigation revealed this." The hologram showed aerial images of the Phasian world. In every major settlement, new structures of advanced design stood among the primitive buildings. More disturbing were the images of Phasians operating what appeared to be sophisticated technology. "These images were taken yesterday," Zal said quietly. "In the span of 1 week, the Phasians have advanced approximately 3 centuries in technological development." Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. "Humans have been in contact with them," Draz finally said, "against every Council protocol for protected worlds." "Not just in contact," corrected Zal. "Based on these readings, humans have been working with the Phasians for decades in secret. The sudden appearance of advanced structures suggests they've simply stopped hiding." Thala drifted closer to the hologram, her translucent form glowing faintly. "And not just the Phasians, I suspect," Zal nodded grimly. "You're correct. We've received similar reports from 3 other worlds previously categorized as primitive or pre-contact. In each case, the pattern is identical. sudden technological leaps, appearance of advanced structures, and evidence of human involvement. This is a direct violation of Council authority. Thundered Krozak. These worlds are under Council protection. Are they? Asked Thala softly. Or are they under Council control? There is a difference, General. Before Krozak could respond, Zal continued. There's more. We've detected communication between these worlds, quantum entanglement signals that bypass our normal monitoring systems. They're coordinating with each other, and presumably with Earth. An alliance, Draz said, the word hanging heavy in the air. A hidden alliance, corrected Zal. One that may have existed right under our sensors for years. On Phasian for 4, Dr. Marcus Reed stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. After decades of secrecy, it felt strange to stand openly among the Phasians, watching their world transform. Beside him stood Torva, the Phasian High Minister, her scaled skin gleaming copper in the setting sun. Despite physiological differences, the expression of pride on her face was unmistakable. Your people have adapted remarkably quickly, Marcus commented, watching Phasian engineers below installing a new atmospheric processor. Torva made the warbling sound that served as Phasian laughter. Dr. Reed, we have waited generations for this day. Our grandparents prepared us as their grandparents prepared them. We have been ready. Marcus nodded, understanding the truth of her words. When humans first discovered Phasian 4 nearly 70 years ago, they had found not the primitive society the Council described, but a people deliberately hiding their true potential. The Council never suspected? The Council sees what it expects to see, Torva replied. They expected a primitive species, so we showed them mud huts and simple tools. Meanwhile, we learned and prepared. Below them, a group of Phasian children practiced with educational tablets, the advanced technology looking strange in their 6-fingered hands. The other worlds report similar progress, Marcus said. Creel, Vantix, Oroshan, all implementing the final phases of the plan. And the Council? Marcus checked his secure communicator, scrambling to understand what's happening. They've lost observation posts on 6 worlds now. Soon they'll realize the pattern. Torva's expression turned serious. And then they will respond with force. It is their way. Let them try, Marcus said quietly. Earth has prepared for that possibility. Across the galaxy, aboard the Council's most advanced intelligence vessel, Agent Nalara prepared for the most dangerous mission of her career. As the Council's top infiltration specialist, she had been assigned to penetrate human defenses and discover what Earth was hiding. Her target, a remote asteroid base believed to be a human outpost at the edge of what had once been Council space. Intelligence suggested it might be lightly defended, offering a rare opportunity to gather information on human capabilities. Remember, instructed her mission commander, this is reconnaissance only. Avoid detection at all costs. Nalara nodded, her chameleonic skin already shifting to match the gray tones of her stealth suit. If captured, the Council will disavow all knowledge of your mission. Standard protocol. Hours later, Nalara's stealth craft approached the asteroid base. Initial scans showed minimal power signatures and no obvious defenses, exactly as intelligence had predicted. Too easy, Nalara muttered to herself as she guided her ship toward a maintenance airlock. Years of experience had taught her to distrust missions that began smoothly. The airlock cycled without alerting any systems. Inside, the base appeared deserted. Dimly lit corridors stretched before her, silent and empty. Nalara moved like a shadow, her enhanced senses alert for any sign of life. She found the central computer room unlocked and unguarded. Again, too easy, but orders were orders. She connected her data extraction device and began downloading files. The data stream showed immediately that this was no ordinary outpost. Schematics for weapons systems far beyond Council technology, research on energy manipulation that defied conventional physics, and most disturbing of all, detailed analyses of Council military capabilities, including weaknesses unknown even to most Council commanders. My God, she whispered, using a human phrase she'd picked up during her training. They could have destroyed the Council years ago? Came a voice from the doorway. Yes, we could have. Nalara spun, weapon drawn, to find a human male standing calmly in the entrance. Middle-aged, with silver hair and the bearing of a military officer, he showed no sign of concern at her presence. Admiral Donovan smiled. Clever. That's why they sent you, I imagine. He gestured to the data still stir. Humanity withdraws from peace talks, the Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 4. The demonstration. The Council war room hummed with activity as officers from a dozen species coordinated the largest military operation in recent galactic history. Holographic displays showed the positions of over 200 warships gathering at the staging area near the Arcturus relay point. Fleet Admiral Jorgen, a battle-scarred veteran from the militant Valkran species, studied the tactical projections with cold efficiency. His exoskeleton clicked softly as he moved between display stations, inspecting readiness reports and final weapon calculations. The fleet will be fully assembled within 18 hours, reported his second-in-command. All ships report combat readiness at 93% or higher. Jorgen nodded, his compound eyes reflecting the blue glow of the tactical displays. And the new shield frequencies? Implemented across all capital ships, Admiral. If the human barrier operates on principles similar to our own shield technology, the oscillating harmonics should create disruption points we can exploit. Good. Jorgen turned to face the assembled command staff. The operation parameters remain unchanged. We breach the barrier, establish a forward position within the human solar system, and present our demands from a position of strength. The Council requires a clear demonstration of superior force. From the back of the war room, a voice spoke, soft but carrying clearly to every corner. And if humans refuse to yield even then? Heads turned to see Thera, an observer from one of the Council's oldest member species, standing in the doorway. Though she appeared physically frail, her species' reputation for wisdom and foresight had earned her a place on the mission, though many military officers considered her presence an unnecessary political concession. Jorgen regarded her with barely concealed impatience. The operation projections are clear. Human defensive capabilities, while impressive, cannot withstand the concentrated firepower of our fleet. You assume, Thera replied calmly, that humans have shown their full capabilities, a dangerous assumption given recent revelations. We adapt to new information, Jorgen said dismissively. The fleet carries enough firepower to reduce Earth's surface to molten slag if necessary. I doubt even humans would risk such an outcome. Thera's expression remained serene. Before you depart, Admiral, I would ask the Council to consider one final diplomatic approach. The Council has voted, Jorgen reminded her. The time for talk is over. Perhaps. Thera moved further into the room, her slight form somehow commanding attention. But consider this. In every encounter thus far, humans have shown restraint. They disabled Ambassador Vrock's ship, but returned it with its crew unharmed. They neutralized our observation posts without casualties where possible. Even their barrier is defensive in nature. Your point? Jorgen asked. My point, Admiral, is that we may be misunderstanding their intentions entirely. What if their withdrawal was not a prelude to aggression, but a response to perceived threat? What if— Enough, interrupted General Krozak, entering the war room with High Counselor Draz. The decision is made. The fleet launches in 18 hours. Draz looked less certain than his military commander, his blue skin showing the mottled patterns that indicated stress in his species. Admiral Jorgen, your primary objective remains securing a negotiating position. This is not an extinction-level event unless humans make it one. Understood, High Counselor, Jorgen replied with a formal bow. We will use only the force necessary to achieve our objectives. As the final preparations continued, Thera withdrew from the war room, her expression troubled. In her long life, she had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of stars. Something about this confrontation felt different, a turning point in galactic history that the Council, in its arrogance, was rushing toward blindly. 20 hours later, the assembled might of the Council fleet approached the shimmering barrier surrounding Earth's solar system. From his command position on the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, Admiral Jorgen watched as the fleet formed into attack configuration. All ships report ready, Admiral, announced his tactical officer. Weapons charged, shields at maximum. Jorgen nodded. Begin the approach sequence. Initiate shield frequency oscillation on my mark. The massive fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a testament to Council military precision. At its center, the 3 dreadnoughts, each nearly 5 kilometers in length, prepared to focus their main. Cannons on calculated weak points in the barrier, Energy readings from the barrier are increasing, reported the science officer. It appears to be responding to our approach. As expected, said Jorgen. Continue approach. Mark. Begin frequency oscillation. Throughout the fleet, shield generators began cycling through thousands of frequency patterns per second, searching for the resonance that would disrupt the human barrier. Sir, we're detecting movement within the barrier, called out the sensor operator. Something is approaching from inside. On the main view screen, a ripple appeared in the shimmering energy field. A moment later, a single ship emerged, small by Council standards, perhaps only the size of a light cruiser. Its design was unlike any human vessel previously encountered, with smooth lines and no visible weapons ports. One ship? Jorgen said incredulously. They send one ship to face our fleet? It's broadcasting on an open channel, Admiral, reported the communications officer. Put it through. The view screen shifted to show a human female in what appeared to be a simple uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back, her expression calm and professional. Council Fleet, this is Captain Maya Donovan of the Earth vessel Harbinger. You are approaching sovereign Earth space without authorization. State your intentions. Jorgen stepped forward, towering over the communication pickup. I am Fleet Admiral Jorgen of the Galactic Council. You will lower your barrier and prepare to receive Council representatives to discuss terms for ending your illegal blockade of Council trade routes. Captain Donovan's expression didn't change. Admiral, there is no blockade. Earth has simply withdrawn from treaties that were not being honored in good faith. We are under no obligation to trade with the Council. Your withdrawal has caused severe disruption to critical supply chains across Council space. Jorgen countered. The Council has deemed this an act of economic warfare. An interesting perspective, Donovan replied. However, we see it differently. The Council became dependent on human innovations while simultaneously denying us equal representation. That was your choice, not ours. Jorgen's patience wore thin. This discussion is pointless. You face the combined might of the Council fleet. Lower your barrier and submit to Council authority, or we will be forced to take action. For the first time, Donovan's expression showed a hint of regret. I'm sorry you've chosen this path, Admiral. We had hoped the Council would seek peaceful resolution. Your hopes are irrelevant. You have 1 hour to comply before we begin our operation. I'm afraid we can't allow that, Donovan said. Then to someone off-screen, activate the field. Before Jorgen could respond, alarms blared across his bridge. Admiral, shouted the tactical officer. Energy surge detected from the human vessel. A pulse of invisible energy radiated outward from the Harbinger, passing through the Council fleet like a wave through water. As it touched each ship, systems began to fail. Weapons powered down, engines stalled, shields collapsed. Report. Jorgen demanded as his own flagship's lights dimmed. All weapon systems offline, reported the tactical officer, voice tight with disbelief. Engines non-responsive. We're dead in space, Admiral. Impossible, Jorgen whispered. How could one ship? It's affecting the entire fleet, continued the officer. All 217 vessels, disabled simultaneously. On the view screen, Captain Donovan watched calmly. Admiral, we've initiated a selective energy dampening field. Your life support and communications remain functional, but your weapons, shields, and propulsion systems have been temporarily disabled. Jorgen struggled to comprehend the scale of what had just happened. His entire fleet, the mightiest military force assembled in generations, rendered helpless in seconds by a single ship. This is impossible, he said again. No known technology could affect so many ships simultaneously across such distances. As I said, Donovan replied, the Council has consistently underestimated human capabilities. We have chosen not to deploy our advanced technologies, not because we couldn't, but because we hoped peaceful coexistence was possible. From behind Jorgen came the soft voice of Thera, who had observed the proceedings in silence until now. I warned you, Admiral. Humans have shown restraint at every turn. What you are witnessing is not the extent of their power, but their reluctance to use it. Jorgen turned to face her, fury and confusion warring in his expression. You knew this would happen? I suspected, Thera admitted. Throughout history, truly advanced civilizations rarely advertise their capabilities. They hide in plain sight, hoping to be left in peace. When forced to reveal themselves, it usually means diplomacy has failed. Humanity withdraws from peace talks. The Galactic Council realizes its mistake. Part 5. The The revelation. The Earth diplomatic complex floated in geosynchronous orbit above the blue-green planet. A marvel of engineering and aesthetics. Unlike the imposing military architecture favored by the Council, the human facility featured sweeping curves and vast transparent sections that offered breathtaking views of Earth below. The Council delegation approached with undisguised apprehension. Their diplomatic vessel, unarmed at Earth's insistence, was escorted by 2 human ships that moved with silent precision. No weapons were visible on the escorts, but after the demonstration that disabled an entire Council fleet, such obvious displays of power seemed unnecessary. On the bridge of the Council vessel, High Counselor Draz stood with Thera, Intelligence Director Zol, and a carefully selected group of advisors. Notably absent were General Krozak and any military personnel, another concession to human demands. "They're scanning us," noted Zol as subtle vibrations passed through the ship. "Very thorough scans." "As expected," replied Draz, his tone resigned. The past weeks had fundamentally altered his perception of humanity's place in the galactic order. "We would do the same." A communication channel opened, displaying a human officer. "Council vessel Concordat, you are cleared for docking at arrival port 3. Please follow the designated approach path. Any deviation will result in immediate escort back to Council space." Draz acknowledged the instructions with as much dignity as he could muster. It was a strange experience for the leader of the Galactic Council to be treated as just another visiting dignitary. "Notice how they speak to us," murmured Thera, standing at his side. Not with arrogance or triumph, but simple professionalism. "It is instructive." "They have no need to gloat," Draz responded quietly. "Their position is clear enough." As the Council vessel docked, Draz prepared himself for what promised to be the most consequential diplomatic meeting of his career, perhaps of Council history. The diplomatic chamber within the Earth facility defied Council expectations. Rather than an imposing throne room or intimidating military briefing area, they were led into a circular chamber with a round table. The design implied equality among participants. There was no head position, no elevated dais for leaders. Around the table sat representatives from Earth, but also, to the Council delegation's shock, representatives from a dozen other species. Some were recognized as formerly protected worlds like the Phasians, but others were completely unknown to Council records. At the far side of the table sat a human male with dark skin and silver hair, radiating the quiet authority of long leadership. He rose as the Council delegation entered. "High Counselor Draz, welcome to Earth. I am Federation President Kai Rivera." His voice was deep and measured. "Please join us." As the Council representatives took their seats, Draz noted the careful arrangements. Every species, including humans, had the same number of representatives. Another symbolic gesture of equality. "Before we begin," Rivera continued, "I want to acknowledge the unprecedented nature of this meeting. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council enters negotiations not as the dominant power, but as one voice among equals." Draz bristled slightly, but maintained his diplomatic poise. "President Rivera, the Council acknowledges recent revelations about humanity's capabilities. We come in the spirit of reconciliation and mutual cooperation." Rivera nodded. "That is welcome news. However, reconciliation requires truth, and the time for diplomatic half-truths has passed. Today, you will learn why Earth withdrew from Council space, why we assisted other species in achieving technological independence, and most importantly, why these actions were necessary for the survival of all our civilizations." He gestured, and the chamber darkened. Above the table, a holographic display activated, showing a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Most of it was familiar to Council astronomers, but as the display zoomed outward, it revealed regions beyond the galactic rim that Council ships had never explored. 53 years ago, Rivera explained, an Earth deep space expedition detected unusual energy patterns from beyond the galactic edge. Patterns that defied conventional physics. The hologram zoomed further out, revealing a vast, dark region approaching the galaxy's outer rim. Not empty space, but something that seemed to absorb light rather than merely fail to emit it. "We designated it the Void," Rivera continued. "At first we believed it was a natural phenomenon, perhaps a region of altered physical laws or a massive black hole cluster. We were wrong. The hologram shifted to show sensor readings and data streams that even Zol, with his extensive intelligence background, struggled to interpret. The void is expanding, Rivera said simply, consuming everything in its path. Stars, planets, entire systems absorbed and extinguished. At its current rate of expansion, it will reach the outer council worlds within 30 years. Draz leaned forward, his skin darkening with concern. If what you say is true, why bring this to us now? Why not when you first discovered it? We did, replied a new voice. All eyes turned to a Phasian representative, her copper scales gleaming under the chamber lights. 50 years ago, she explained, our deep space observers detected the same phenomenon. We reported it to our council protectors. The response was... She paused, searching for the right word. Dismissive. Another representative from a species even Draz didn't recognize spoke up. As did we 48 years ago. The council classified our report and restricted our space travel rights shortly afterward. One by one, other representatives shared similar stories. Each had detected the approaching void, reported it to the council and been ignored, dismissed, or actively suppressed. Draz turned to Zal, whose expression had grown increasingly troubled. Director? Zal hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. There were reports. They were deemed speculative, unworthy of serious resource allocation. Unworthy? Rivera's voice remained calm but carried an edge of steel. An existential threat to all life in the galaxy was unworthy of investigation? Before Draz could formulate a response, Thera spoke. The council feared disruption to established order more than it feared the unknown. Her ancient eyes met. Rivera's, a failing of governance that transcends species, Rivera, acknowledged her observation with a slight nod. Perhaps. But the consequence of that failing is that 50 years of potential preparation time has been squandered. The hologram shifted again, showing the expansion of the void over time, projected forward to show its path through council space. When we realized the council would not act, Rivera continued, humanity faced a choice. We could remain within the council system and be bound by its restrictions, or we could withdraw and prepare independently. These preparations included technological advancement for other affected species, added Ambassador Alara Voss, whom Draz recognized from the original withdrawal confrontation. The Council's protection programs were effectively preventing these worlds from developing the technology they would need to survive. Draz struggled to absorb the implications. You claim all of this, the withdrawal, the secret alliances, the technological sharing, was to prepare for this. Void? Not just prepare for it, Rivera corrected. To fight it. At his gesture, the hologram changed again, showing detailed schematics for massive shield generators unlike anything in Council records. The barrier surrounding Earth isn't just a defensive measure against the Council, Rivera explained. It's a prototype for what we'll need against the void. A technology that can create stable boundaries between normal, space-time, and whatever exists within the void itself. Zal studied the designs with obvious fascination. This technology, it's beyond anything in our records. Because we developed it independently, confirmed Rivera. While the Council was busy maintaining political control of the galaxy, humanity and our allies were solving the problem of survival. Draz leaned back, overwhelmed by revelations that challenged the foundation of Council authority. You expect us to simply accept these claims without verification? To reorganize the entire galactic order based on a threat that may not even... The Nexus Archive, interrupted Thera softly. It warned us. The humans were right. The darkness approaches. Silence fell over the chamber. Rivera nodded. The archive has existed since before any of our civilizations. Its warning should not be taken lightly. If what you say is true, Draz said carefully, what do you propose? An alliance, Rivera replied without hesitation. Not under Council authority, but a new compact between equals. Each civilization contributing according to its abilities, each having equal voice in decisions that affect all. The Council has stood for stability for 10,000 years, protested Draz. You propose to dismantle it in favor of... What, chaos? Not chaos, corrected Rivera. Evolution. The Council served its purpose in maintaining peace, but at the cost of stagnation. What faces us now requires innovation, adaptation, qualities the Council has